Hi, I'm Tracy Matthews. I'm the liaison to the Business Advocacy Committee of the Campbell County Chamber of Commerce. This morning I am with Representative Bill Fortner, who is running for Senate Seat 1. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Happy to do your interview and answer your questions.
Thank you. So if you want to give the people a brief introduction.
Okay, I'm a fourth generation native. My great-great-grandparents come here in the late 1900s, and I've been here all my life. I've been working in the fossil fuel or extraction industry all my life. I started when I was 15 working for J&R Earth Movers, and we did creek conversions for the coal mines back in the early 70s. I stayed with them right up till the time I got out of high school. Then I went to welding school and went to the oil fields. I worked there for several years before I went to work at the coal mines, and then I retired from the coal mines. I went back to the oil and gas fields where I got a contract business doing maintenance work, and this Campbell County is my home, and I do everything I can to keep taxes low and make it sustainable for people on low incomes or fixed incomes to live in Campbell County. I've been fighting taxes since 2014 to do just exactly that.
Thank you. So, Representative, tell me why you are running for the Senate seat and why should I vote for you?
Well, the reason that I'm running is I started in the House seat and I ran in 2020, and I made a promise to my constituents in House District 52 that I would fight taxes. I would try to keep government at a bare minimum. And so anyways, going into the Senate, I can continue that fight, and I can also continue to push for the bills that I ran in the House that never passed or was never heard. One was a school choice bill, and that was in the first year in 2021. I also ran a personal property tax depreciation that year for the simple reason that the oil industry had bottomed out. There was a negative $37 to $38 a barrel. They was paying companies to take their money rather than making money. I've seen an avenue there where we could cut a lot of their overhead by going down the road of a personal property tax depreciation. We could take that money in 7 years. That'd give the state government some time to figure out how they was going to replace that revenue. Take that money and let them companies set on that money, create more revenue later on to hire more employees. That was the reason for that. It went through committee, it went through the first reading, and then it got killed. So I want to continue those two bills as well as the bill I ran last year, which was House Bill 27, visitation rights for seniors or anybody that's in a long-term facility, whether it be a hospital or retirement home. Which never, it went through, it never passed, it went through committee. We passed it through committee. Went up on the floor for first reading, they amended it. Went to the second reading, they amended it. Third reading, they amended it again. We took it to the House and we amended it back to the original bill, to the Senate floor, the Senate committee. We originated it back to the original bill. It made it up to the desk of the floor majority, and they conveniently stuck it at the bottom of the pile and killed it. So one of the reasons I really want to be in the Senate is to craft a law that does not let one person have that kind of power, to let people have to sit and die alone. That is probably the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life, is one person has that kind of power that you totally cannot see a person at death. And so anyhow, I took that pretty personal. But I had decided to run for the Senate way back when before Roy Edwards recruited me, back when Judy McCullough had lost the second time to who now sits in that Senate District 1, Ogden Driscoll. So at that time, I decided I would run, but previously Roy, he talked me into running for House District 52. I only intended on running one term. Whether I ran for the Senate or didn't run for the Senate, and Roy passed away, as everybody knows, so I lived up to my pledge to Roy and my commitment. So now it's time for me to move on to Senate District 1. And the experience that I have is House District 52. I proved to my constituents in House District 52 that I have the knowledge and the ability to know how to vote responsibly. That's what put me at the second to the top of the list for all votes tallied this year in all legislature, both the House and the Senate. Out of 90 people, I was number 2. Number 1 was Chuck Gray. I was number 1 in freshman legislatures throughout the 66 legislature in the votes tallied, both in 21 and 22. So I figure I'm more than qualified to go to the Senate. I understand the process. I understand that where the roadblocks is for getting the people the responsible bills that they need to move the state ahead, move the ball down the field. We need to do some. I would call it. Do back steps to where we can replace management council's rules and boards. We need to do that. We need to give people the power back in every legislature, like it was designated during the redistricting, where they made sure that we had a deviation, so every representative had the same authority in Cheyenne, which we don't. Right now there's like 10 or 12 people that have the most authority, along with the governor, and the rest of the legislators and senators just will have a cardboard cutout there. So we need to walk things back that way. There's a lot of things to do in Cheyenne. They vote me in. I pledged to be there 12 years, unless for some unseen reason that my health or accident or something, death, whatever, I plan on being there 12 years to serve the people in Crook, Campbell, and Weston County.
Lastly, Representative, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you wanted the people of Campbell County to know about you?
Yes, there is. And I want people to know that I believe in Calvin Coolidge's words that any government that taxes more than absolutely necessary is criminal. Meaning, like in the 1% where we got money left over in the county or the city, if we take that money that's left over and don't return it somewhere in the private sector back to senior citizens or disabilities or something like that, and decide that we're going to go ahead and get an investment firm to invest that money, that's absolutely wrong. If you've got money to invest, that means you're taxing too much. That money, you need to cut taxes, and you need to also take that money and give it back to the private sector, whether it's, like I say, old retired people or old people that's in distress, whether they can't pay their electric or gas or rent. Would be a great place to put it. I'm not saying that we ought to do that just for that purpose, but I'm saying that I believe at every level, the federal, the state, the city, the county, we're overtaxed. We could alleviate a lot of them taxes by taking our infrastructure, like we got a hospital right now that's going to be insolvent in 2027. And we got a Camplex that's totally turned the trash out there because they've had a failure of management to keep the maintenance up on it over the last 50 years. Those are just two of the projects that I can think of that should be turned back to private enterprise, private corporations, foundations, firms of many different kinds. For example, Casper's Event Center, I believe, belongs to the Ford. I think it's called the Ford Event Center down there now. I think we ought to be looking at different ways to alleviate the tax burden on the people of Campbell County. And I believe that's one good way to do it. There's private hospitals throughout the nation. There's private colleges. There's private basically everything that private airports, everything that we tried to capture, private senior centers. We need to turn the clock backwards, not only at the city and the county, but at the state as well. I think we could alleviate probably half of the government that we have in the state by doing that, because in the next downturn, they're going to be looking for more money, just like they was in 2021. They're going to be looking for more fees, more taxes. The harder the times, the more tax dollars they want. So I think we can get ahead of that by turning things back. We could even make most of the roads toll roads in the state rather than tax the citizens, the people that use them the most, pay the most. I think that's a good avenue. Same with everything else that they've built other than the absolute necessary things, like say maybe the courthouse and the city hall here. I think we need to leave some of that intact, but I think there's a whole lot of it that we could go ahead, turn back, because when this nation was founded, it was founded on limited government, and it was also founded on a tax. You couldn't tax the same product twice, which right now we're taxing property tax and personal property tax every year for the rest of your life and your kids' life. If you choose to, they send that to them in their inheritance. I think our Constitution has been violated both at the state level and the federal level with these things that's going on. I think there's just a ton of stuff the guy can do down there. A good conservative with second best voting record in the state, and he's got 3 terms to serve. I just don't see why we can't start to make some changes. I mean, the Supreme Court now has made a landmark ruling on Second Amendment rights this last week, that trying to get ahead of the red flag gun laws that comes with the school safety programs. That's one thing that I would run a bill against, try to prevent any money coming from the federal government that had anything to do with red flag safety laws or anything that resembled them, on the pretense that they'd probably pretty much take our gun rights away in Wyoming. So that's why I believe that anybody out there or everybody out there that believes they have freedoms yet, or we can get our freedoms back, should vote for me, because I will fight for them just like I have the last 2 years in House District 52. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.